Hello lovely people, welcome back for another video with my friend Paul, the amazing sound engineer who has helped me through this process of setting up great sound for online dance classes. Now again, this is another video from this series that was sponsored by the DIS-TANZ project, and in this video we're gonna go into the details of how to connect everything together. So how are we connecting the sound card, the ATEM mini and everything together into a system, but also we're going to show on the screen how everything is also connected virtually, so you see exactly where the different signals are going. From there, again, I'm going to pass it over to Paul.
Yeah, thank you. So Ali came to me and asked me about helping me out with this project. So I said, yes, of course, I can do that. Maybe we have to state first that, I mean, I'm a professional sound engineer, but this thing about routing stuff and streaming stuff, and so it gets more into my work as a sound engineer these days because of Corona, of course. Normally, this is not my main thing. I'm doing live sound mainly. So both of us were kind of new to this. I had some experience with all this stuff and also the technical background. And Ali, of course, had his ideas about how everything should come out in the end. I want to state that probably there are other ways to solve these problems we stumbled across during the process. Maybe there are also more elegant ways. It would be really nice if maybe you could comment or just get in contact with the community if you have any suggestions or if we missed something, so that maybe people can profit from this information too.
Yeah, absolutely. To add from that, we searched a lot online. I spent so many hours alone, and you spent also time on your own and together.
Yes, it was a really hard process. We stumbled across many problems during our way. Exactly. So in the end, everything looks so easy and smooth when it's working, but we had a hard time, Ali, no?
For sure, for sure.
It was fun all the way through also.
Absolutely, so, yeah. I mean, if you're a geek and can triple step, then it's fun. And yes, not this. The sitting is not as fun, but the information and idea.
And the problem solving also. If something works after plenty of headache, then it's always a good feeling. So.
Exactly. Would you like to take it from a little bit more in detail about the challenges we had to
Yes, sure.
pass?
Let's go through the basic setup again. We do have our Zoom session, so that's where we want to output everything. We want to have video there, we want to have sound in there. What do we have on the source side of things? We have our video image, which is going through an external camera into Zoom. And then we have several bits and parts of music. That would be the music which is sharing computer sound. That would be the playback of the music you are dancing to as a teacher. And then it would be your voice for instructions, of course. All these two should be merged somehow and merged with the video and going into the stream. What we also want is we want to listen to the music and also maybe the voice through our headphones. That's what we call monitoring. We want to listen to what we are doing, and of course, if we want to dance, then we have to listen to the music to be able to dance. We want that to be in the headphones and not into the room, as Ali stated in the video before, to have a good separation of sources and to not let the microphone pick up the sound which is coming out of a speaker, for example, standing in the room. So we want to have headphones to separate these two sources from each other. Another thing we want to have in our headphones if we do a teaching session, of course, is the participant's voice coming out of Zoom. And this one should go back to our headphones too. This is the basic thing we want to achieve. Maybe first we can have a look how this setup looks in the real world. Okay, so what do we have here on the table? First of all is our ATEM mini. This one is basically a device for getting our video into the computer. This acts in our setup as a capture card. So we going with HDMI into this device, and then we can go HDMI out to the laptop, and there we can see our video and put that out to Zoom. This device has many features. It can handle multiple cameras. You can do switching between cameras via these nice buttons. It also has sound inputs, which we don't use in our setup. And you can do nice transitions, picture-in-picture modes, and something else. There are plenty of videos on YouTube for this device. You can just have a look if you're interested in this one. It's a nice device because it's cheap and it's a real good quality capture card. So in our setup, we just use it as a capture card, and it does its job really great. So I would definitely recommend having this device. This is just video side. Now we switch to sound side. For sound, we have this nice little Focusrite sound card. It's an USB external sound card, so it's connected here via a standard USB-C cable to our laptop. And it has two microphone inputs where we can plug in our microphones, and also it has a few line level inputs where, for example, we could plug in some external devices for playback music. We don't use these in our setup because all the music is coming directly from the computer, but there are plenty of possibilities in doing that in this one. There's also MIDI in out, we don't use that. It also has 4 line outputs, which is important for our setup to have 4 and not 2. We need 1 and 2 for sending the audio to the stream, and then we need 2 separate ones to connect our monitoring system through. Okay, so we left all the cables on the table so we can connect everything in real time for you to see how it's actually connected. So we have 4 line outputs here. So we just take 2 nice balanced cables and go into our monitor in-ear transmitter, which is wireless, which I will come to in a second. So we just plug in 2 cables from line output 3 and line output 4. And go directly into our nice little wireless box, which features 2 symmetric balanced inputs, where I just connect these 1 and 2. So now we have our setup done. That's basically all. I will connect the microphones too, and I will also show you the in-ear transmitter in a moment. So this one is Rode Wireless Go system. Ali talked about that one in the video before. It's a wireless microphone system, which is really nice to use. This little box has a little built-in microphone. You can clip it somewhere here, so it's really nice and close to your mouth and picks up really good sound. And then it wirely connects to this receiving unit, which again features a balanced output, where we can just put that cable, which is balanced on that side and balanced on that side, and put it into our microphone input. So now this one receives the wireless, the signal from our microphone. We have to put them on and pair them, and so you can read the manual for getting this information, how it exactly works. This is no rocket science. It's pretty basic and easy. You have to adjust the volume gain here. There's a little green light if you get good signal, and it's getting orange and red if you get too high signal. You can just adjust it here. And there you go. You have your microphone inputs going into your computer via the sound card and then the USB cable. So on the way back for monitoring, we have this device. It's basically the same one, just the other way around. We connected it to the outputs of the sound card, and then it's wirelessly transmitting the signal into this receiver. Also, you have to pair the channels here, same story than this one. And we have a pair of good quality headphones, which we put in here, and we can turn it on and put it here in our belt or somewhere, hide the cable, and have a good quality sound in our ear. That's the setup, how it looks in the real world. Ali, you want to add something to this?
Yeah, one of the things is before I bought this in-ear monitor, because I had 2 pieces of the Rode microphone systems, I did a little hack. Could you describe the hack and why I was having some of the sound problems I was experiencing?
Sure, I can. What Ali did is he was thinking about, okay, this box he did not have. But he had 2 of these systems because we bought 2 of these for a recent video production of dance videos on SwingStep. where there were two teachers teaching at the same time. So we had two of these. So Ali was thinking, okay, so this is just transmitting sound from one side to the other. This microphone unit, it features a little microphone input here, which has also a sign, Ali, look at this one, where there is a microphone printed in.
Very funny.
This is for connecting an external lapel mic. So Ali is a creative mind, of course, has a creative, look at him. So he was thinking I could get my way around this wireless monitor problem, that I also can not only are cable free from talking, but also from monitoring, and don't need an external speaker for that. So Ali's idea was just to get the signal out of the headphone jack here, put it through the wireless transmitter of this Rode Wireless Go system, and then on the other side, plug in a headphone on this one. So Ali, you did this wonderful hack. What were the problems with this one?
Yeah. So, well, I was super proud that I managed to MacGyver the shit out of this and at least have a working structure, because these things are expensive. We don't always have those things at hand, and I used what I had in the beginning.
And this one had some problems, but it worked actually, right?
But it worked, exactly. But I had pretty terrible sound in my ear. I tolerated it, I just concentrated more on the music and in order to be able to make it work, but it wasn't an enjoyable experience. So in a way you almost have to fake the enjoyment, so because from the participants side, like, they get perfect sound, so they wouldn't understand if you're like struggling with the music and so on. Also had a concert in this way, and everybody could listen to the music in the most beautiful way. I really struggled to listen to the music, barely heard when it started and ended. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I could hear it if you put up the gain a little bit, and then it worked better. So it works, but you get far from the real quality that you would like to have. And also hearing the participants was a little bit harder, and I had to constantly toggle between finding exactly the right volume that doesn't distort it too much.
Ali, maybe you want to explain now, as we did the last part of the series, which you can also have a look at if you don't know about cables and different level types. Maybe after we have done that, you can explain by yourself what happened.
Yeah, exactly. So again, this is now context you will need to have from watching the other video, but the sound card is putting out a strong line signal, but I was picking it up into a weak microphone signal, and now I see there's a microphone symbol here. And it works, but it's not meant to be, so it just distorts tremendously. So the range of where you can have acceptable sound is very limited, and even then it's still quite distorted.
Yeah, let me add to this a bit.
Mm-hmm.
This output provides high level output. You said line level output, but it's even worse than line level output because it is a headphone jack. A headphone jack has also volume control most of the time, and a headphone jack is putting out an even stronger signal than a line level signal, because the headphone is also only a moving coil and a magnet. So the headphone, for it to make it moving and to be loud, it has to have a really nice, strong amplified signal, and this is even louder than line level.
Okay.
So what comes out on this headphone jack is a really strong signal. The microphone input here wants to see a really, really low input. So what happens? It distorts the input stage of here, because the signal is way too strong for it to handle. So that's why you had to go down with the level, really, really go down with the level on the output side of the headphone jack, and also here to put it really low decibel gain staging for it to work at least. Then we go on the other side. Maybe you want to comment on that one too?
Yes. So on this side, I have, of course, the microphone on the side that's not supposed to have. There is no microphone symbol, and I didn't even have these good headphones. It was worse headphones than this.
What kind of level is this outputting normally, and what kind of level does this headphone wanting to see? This one has a line level output. It is designed for receiving wireless microphone channel. So microphone is fed in here. There is a gain control here where it amplifies the microphone to line level. It is sent to here, and there is output through a line level, and then you can put it into your line level input system. What comes out here is line level.
Yeah.
But this is a headphone.
Yeah.
So a headphone wants to see a headphone level. And as we stated before, a headphone level has to be even higher than a line level channel for the headphone to be loud. This was only putting out line level channel.
And I needed more.
And you needed more. So that's why your headphone was really low.
Yeah.
So what Ali did was, he was putting up the volume on the output side to get more volume out of it. But what happens then is that really fastly this one distorts because it wants to see a low microphone level input, but you pushing levels here. Yeah. So Ali had a really nice idea, but it worked.
Insert MacGyver theme song here.
It worked, but it has some problems because of mismatching level structure and also using the wrong cables.
But if this puts out line, would it actually been better to connect the microphone through the line in?
Yes, you. If you did that, then it would have perfectly matched. You can also put it into the microphone input and then go just down with the gain control all the way.
Just go down with the gain.
That's also possible. If it works with the microphone gain all the way down, depends a bit on the design of the unit. This range of the gain control is a bit different on every unit. Yeah. So if you try this and it's still too loud, then you just use the line inputs. Line input always works.
Great.
We take this solution aside.
Yes, now I have a better setup.
Now we have a better setup, which features this nice device. This one wants to see line level here. We put out line level from the sound card, so everything perfectly matched. And this device, if you read there it's written phones. So this is designed
now you don't have to be sarcastic about it.
Sorry. So this is designed to put out a nice strong phone level. Yeah. And so everything is matched perfectly. You have a really good sounding quality. Sorry, Alex. Let's get back to our system.
Yes.
All right, just a short recap. We have this voice coming in and we have our headphones from the participant's voice coming back. Also, we want to listen some music back. So what is the problem with this? One thing to notice, what we forgot to talk about, is these two parts. Basically, all these sources have to be mixed somehow into a video stream and a stereo audio stream, which we can choose in the Zoom preferences as an audio device and a video device for us to do the stream. So we need some block here, some program or something to merge all this into the output of one video and one audio signal. That would be the software OBS. In our cases, it's a nice free software, many instructional videos on YouTube also on this one, and this is a free software to be able to merge audio and video into two devices which Zoom can handle then. Also, you can do some delay compensation for video and audio out of sync, which is pretty handy and which we need for later. We will come to that in another video. With this setup, it looks pretty nice, but we have a few problems on that one. First problem would be OBS cannot handle any kind of multi-channel audio input. OBS is only capable of doing stereo input. It only features left-right. We have in our setup our voice as one input and our music as a second input. OBS is not capable of doing this. Also, in OBS, we have very limited control of the headphone signal. It can only output the signal which is coming in, and as there is no multi-channel input, it only sees the stereo input, and then we can only output the audio thing we are putting into Zoom, into our headphones. And for example, it's not possible to only monitor your music and not your voice. And also it's not possible without help of any external programs to output the voice of the participants back into your headphone with this setup. That's something we have to solve. Another thing in this setup is that there is no easy native way to send audio from one program to another in your computer, whether it's Mac or Windows. Both have no native support of this. In Mac it's a bit easier than on Windows, but still you have to find some ways to route audio from one program to another, because we want to route audio from OBS to Zoom, and for this we need additional software. Let's get back to our 3 problems and let's see how we can solve these. First problem was OBS cannot handle multi-channel audio input. What we did there is, here we see our OBS, our Zoom, and our 3 music parts again. We don't talk about video at the moment, just go straight to OBS. OBS cannot handle multi-channel audio, so all these connections have to be somehow merged into one stereo output, which can then be sent to OBS. So that's why we have to introduce another piece of software in here, which we choose Ableton Live for. First of all, because it's really powerful in audio routing, so we have many possibilities in routing audio, and also we have many possibilities in processing audio, so we can reduce the background noise with a noise gate, for example. With an equalizer, we can make our voice sound a bit fuller and a bit better. We can compress things so the stream is nice and loud and not peaking when you're clapping and stuff like this. You can really do lots of really useful audio processing in Ableton Live. Also, it features some really nice features, I think, for dance teachers. Also, you can play music, play tracks through the program directly. Also, you can route your Spotify or something through the program. That's also possible. But you can also play back music here directly. And then what is really awesome, you can change the speed of the songs. It's not changing pitch. Yeah. And also it's not sounding worse. It has a real good algorithm for doing that. Yeah. So you don't notice it. And that for dance teacher is really powerful, I guess.
We're going to make a separate video on exactly that, because I think for us as dancers, it's super powerful.
So we decided for Ableton Live to handle all these different input channels, because OBS cannot handle multi-channel audio. So we have to have something to mix. And we use, of course, the nice things Ableton can do with a signal. That's the solution for this multi-channel thing. We had the second thing, that OBS also have very limited control of the headphone signal. Same solution. We can also route back everything, some sources into Ableton from Zoom, for example, the participant's voice. We can route them back here and then have a separate output, not the one which is fed to OBS, but a separate one which is going to our headphones. So really nice. This one solves 2 of our problems. There will come plenty of new problems on our way, but first of all, it solves 2 of them. The third one was that there is no native solution or no easy native solution to send one audio from one program to another, which we have to do now even twice. First time we have to send it here, and now we have to send it from this program, Ableton Live, to OBS, and after that from OBS to Zoom. So we send audio into our computer twice from one program to another. And also we have to send it from Zoom back to Ableton. So plenty of routing back and forth involved in this step. So for that one, there's a really nice solution for Mac. I was really happy to find that with Ali, which is called Loopback. A really nice program. It costs like, I don't know,
like $100.
$100,
so
which
like
is
80 something euros.
Yeah, which is not cheap. No. But it's so nice to use and so powerful. So it really saved us in this project.
Yeah, especially if you put value on your own time, spending several hours just to finding a free version, and those are usually not simple to use and not visual. That takes even more hours to just figure all of those things out. Yeah, the $100 is very cheap in relationship to the amount of energy we'd have to spend otherwise.
I agree. I do think you could solve these problems on Mac with these, it's called aggregated audio devices, multi-audio devices, or something like this. There is maybe some ways, maybe someone of you knows or already did it, then you can comment on that. Yeah. But this one, I would really suggest this one, because it's a real time saver and it's working absolutely stable and really nice. Yeah.
And I'm on a M1 Mac, which these new chips, not everything works on those. And Loopback was one of those things that does work. So that was also another challenge.
There is also a solution for Windows to do this. This is also really, really nice program called ASIO-Link Pro. I will figure out the next days how to export all this setup into the Windows platform, and actually we will do a separate video on that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that ASIO-Link can do all of this. I'm hoping I'm right. We'll get back to that in another video. Yeah. So we move on. We solved all our 3 problems. Let's see what we have now. And as you see, there are some red boxes again. So there are some new things we have to do on our way. We have Ableton here. We have our 2 channels going into Ableton, going into OBS, into Zoom, and then this participant's voice goes back into our headphones. The challenges we have is that Ableton now needs to see 3 separate audio inputs. That would be the voice. That's one Ableton wants to see. Then the music. And as a third one, the participant's voice. That's the 3 colored inputs here. That one's Ableton wants to see. So this is what Ableton looks like. On the preferences on input side, we can use an audio input device here. And this would be the driver that Ableton uses for its inputs. We need a driver on Ableton which can see 3 separate inputs here. Actually, not 3, it's more like 6, because we have stereo music, which would be 2. And then participant's voice can also be stereo, so it's another 2. And then maybe you want to have 2 microphones and not only 1. So let's say we want to have 6. We don't have a driver like this. We can choose the driver of this sound card, but then we are bound to the inputs of this sound card, and we cannot take this one, which is coming from another program, for example, Spotify, because it needs to see one driver which has all of this inside. That's what Loopback is for. It can create a virtual driver where we can define what's going into that virtual driver, and then we can choose that virtual driver as an input source. Yeah. So this is our nice Loopback program, and we see here on the left side, we were not going into details on how to make these virtual devices and stuff. Yeah. It's pretty easy. I think you will manage it. So we make a new virtual device here, and this is called Ableton Input. Or
we named it Ableton.
We named it Ableton Input. So what we can do here is we can choose from a list here on sources several things. We have all our audio programs here. We can also have virtual devices, which we had here as an input source, and we have many possibilities to choose from input sources. What we did is we used the driver of our sound card, which is the Scarlett 4i4 USB, which has 6 inputs here. 2 inputs would be the microphone inputs, this left and right, and then there are 4 line level inputs, which will be 3 to 6. Then we choose as another input source our Spotify, and then we use Zoom. Let's look here again. First one would be our Scarlett input, left and right. That's our microphone going to the Scarlett into here. Second one would be Spotify, the green one, which is our music coming from Spotify. If we open up Spotify on our computer and playback sound, it will route that one into our virtual driver. And the third one is the program Zoom, the audio coming from Zoom, from the participants speaking, going also into the virtual driver. So that's what's routed here. This is our virtual driver unit. And we have created 6 virtual inputs of this driver where the audio is routed to. We created our virtual driver, and this is called Ableton Input. And we can choose that driver as our input source in Ableton now. So if we go back to the preferences in Ableton, then we see our audio input device, and we have several things to choose here. For example, we have our Scarlett 4i4 USB input. That would be the driver of the sound card directly. But we don't want that. We want our newly defined Ableton input from Loopback, which is this one. And it says here it has 6 inputs, which we defined in Loopback here. These 6 inputs, and it has no output. So we go to input config and activate all the 6 so we can use it. And yeah, there we go. We have now 6 inputs which we can choose to feed into our channels.
Let me just add something.
Yes.
The list of audio devices that shows up here, this is connected to the things I have on my computer and the sound card that I have and so on. You will see a different list, and this Ableton input is related to what you name your input device in Loopback. So you won't see exactly the same list as we see here, but you need to look for the Ableton input or whatever you named it inside of OBS, and that's the one you need.
Not OBS, Loopback, you mean?
What he said.
Whenever you create a new device in Loopback, it will appear in that list.
Exactly.
We have our input set, so let's go to our outputs, and therefore let's switch to that one again. On the output side, what we want to get out of the system is two things. We want to get out a stereo mix of everything we put in, which is going to our stream, to OBS, and after that to Zoom. And we want to have a separate pair of outputs, a stereo one, which is mixing the participant's voice with everything we want to be played back in our monitors, in our headphones, to be able to teach. So we need 4 separate outputs for this system. Okay, so let's have a look how we can make this output stage in Loopback. We need to create another virtual device, which we can choose then as an output device on Ableton, and then we are ready to go. Now, the first thing we were trying and where we really were struggling with was this route. It is labeled not working able to OBS. We were really struggling with that one for a few days and didn't understand why this is not working. And we will just explain to you what we did here. We did a new device, which we were called Ableton to OBS because we were thinking it will work.
Exactly.
And there we want to have 4 outputs in this device, or 4 inputs. This is outputs from Ableton, so I call it outputs at the moment. And these are separated into 4 output channels on the driver side. So 2 outputs for our mix into OBS, and then 2 channels for our mix into our monitoring system. Our monitoring system would be the Scarlett interface, so we chose the Scarlett driver here and feed it into 3.4. So this is new to you. We haven't explained that. There is another section here on Loopback which is called monitors, and there you can direct monitor things which you route into that.
You could, for example, if you have a Bluetooth headphone set up to your laptop, that could also be a monitor, for example. Yeah,
and you can choose on the input side which signals are monitored and which not, which is really nice and really handy.
Yeah.
The problem is that it does not work with our setup. Why doesn't it work? As we say, the problem is we need separate control of our headphones and stream mix, but OBS cannot handle multi-channel audio, as we said before. And what it does when we choose this driver in OBS, it does not only take 1 and 2, but it merges all the input channels it's seeing here. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, which we were using for our setup, which we want to have separated and only send the first 2 into OBS. But OBS says, no, I'm just taking everything I have here and merge them into stereo because I cannot handle multi-channel audio for whatever reason. That would be really nice if OBS could do that.
Yeah.
But it cannot handle multi-channel audio. So it just merges everything on the driver side and puts it on stereo. And that's just not the thing we want.
We didn't know how to do that in OBS. If somebody do know how to do that in OBS, please let us know.
Yeah, I think there is plenty of discussion in the internet about that, and many people want that feature, and it's just not there yet. Maybe people are working on that because it's really an important feature request, but for whatever reasons it doesn't work at the moment. Let's get back here and look how we solved that problem. So the thing is, we have to use separate output drivers. We have to use the stereo output of this program in Ableton and send that via loopback to OBS sound. And then we have to choose some kind of another driver output here to be separated to send to our sound card and to the outputs of the sound card directly. This is a thing where we are struggling really hard because, of course, in Ableton Live, you can only choose one driver here. So how to separate these two things from each other when you can only choose one output driver here, and OBS is merging everything whenever you choose that, although it can handle separate channels. Yeah. What we came across for a solution was this one. We created a device which is called Ableton to OBS, and as a source, that it is possible to just choose the output source of a program. And in that case, even if you have multi-channel inputs into Ableton Live, we had 6 inputs going into Ableton Live, it just features 2 outputs here. And we were thinking, okay, if this 2 output, then probably this is just the mix output, the master output of all the signals being mixed here into that one master output. But we can also choose to send some music here to external outputs, not to the master, but to external outputs of our output driver. And then we thought, okay, if we can do that, then let's just choose the Scarlett, the USB audio device, as our output driver. And then it sent the external things we need for our headphones directly into the Scarlett, and then we can feed it into our wireless system or wherever you want to feed it. For the stream, we use just this thing here. Yeah. And that worked.
That worked.
Exactly. And we were like, wow.
Yeah. So let's turn off not working Ableton. That's very satisfying to... okay. I'm more comfortable now.
Now we separated channels, and it's now possible to send audio from Ableton through a separate pair of outputs directly to the output driver, which we set in Ableton directly to the device. And also on software side of things, via Loopback, we can just tell use the normal stereo output, which is from this program, not on a driver basis, but just the output, which is output 1, 2. So this is the stereo mix, and we can feed that through OBS. There we are about ready to go from the routing, software routing side of things. Okay, so let's have a look on this nice little program, Ableton Live. This is a program mainly done for music production, so it's for DJs or music producers most of the time. It features a nice view here where we can route audio back and forth and also record stuff, and play around with clips on here, which will come in pretty handy when we play our music back from Ableton. As we said, it has plenty of features in changing the speed and putting up effects and stuff like this. And also, which is really nice, it has a recording capabilities where we can record our session or record whatever to playback with the system. What we did here is we created, again, 3 groups of input tracks, which refer to our 3 input signals we want to get into our system. First would be music, and there we have a Spotify input, and we have a playback input, which is called, have this weird name at the moment, but this is just playback from our Ableton system. In Ableton, we can group all of the channels into one group. So we said, okay, Spotify input and playback is our music. So we made a group so we can just fold and unfold it here. Then we have our microphones going in. That would be microphone input 1 and 2 from our Scarlett. For teaching, also we can unfold it here. And then we have our Zoom participants going back from Zoom program into our system here for monitoring. So let's see how the routing is done. We can start with a microphone. So we have these 2 inputs, microphone input 1 and microphone input 2. This part is where the routing takes place. So we choose to use audio from, and audio from would be an external input from our driver, and the external input would be input 1. So when we go back to Loopback to see our Ableton virtual driver here, input 1 is being fed from the Scarlett driver. So we connect the microphone here, it's going to the virtual driver, and from the virtual driver here into our channel. Here we use the same one, external in 2, which would be our second microphone coming from the Scarlett. Then we have our music. On music, we have here a track called Spotify input, where we chose input 3 and 4 from our virtual driver. 3 and 4, let's have a look. 3 and 4 is the playback channel of our Spotify program. If I go on Spotify here and just play back a song, then you see it's coming into our system here, which is really nice. One note about the quality here, it's just being picked up from the microphone we are recording with, so it's not the great quality sound you're hearing at the stream, but still you get the idea. So you can play back songs in Spotify and get it into our system, which is really nice. And then we also have our playback channel here in music, which is our tracks we can just drag in here. We can record tracks here, we can record our voice, we can make some intro music for our sessions, or we can make some noise things, whatever sound effects, what we want to play back here. We can put them into separate tracks here, and whenever we play that, then it will play it back. So here you see some nice swing music from Ali played back. So that would be playback of music. And the third thing we were coming in, signal which is coming in, is our Zoom participants. So we chose external in 5.6 here, which refers to our inputs coming from Zoom. So if people are talking through Zoom, we can hear it through this channel. Signals are coming into our system now, which is really nice. Let's see now how the signals going out of our system. When we look at it again, we want to have everything that goes to our stream on output 1 and 2, and we want everything which we monitor on this output 3 and 4 of our sound card. So let's see how this is done in Ableton Live. Whenever you have an input channel here and on monitor this input button is pressed, the signal which comes into that channel will be fed directly to the output defined in this audio 2 box here. The microphone input is coming through external in 1, is going directly through, and it's passed through the microphone group. The microphone group is this channel here, and there it goes in again and goes into the master, which is this channel here, and from that master it's going out through the Loopback driver here to the virtual output driver of Loopback, which is called Ableton to OBS, and we can choose that one in OBS then as our input for the stream. Microphones both are going to this group and then going to the master out for our stream. Then we have our music. Our music Spotify input is going to our music group, this one, and our playback also is going to our music group, and this one is going to sends only. Why this one is going to sends only and what we are doing with the sends we will explain in another video. This has something to do with the syncing of audio and video, but you can think of this is being split, and one part is going out to the stream and the other part is going out to the headphones, and there's happening some fancy magic delay compensation, so you can clap and hear everything, and on stream also everything is on sync. We will
on sync.
We will do that topic on that in another video.
Yeah.
The other thing is this Zoom participants channel. This is going through 3.4. 3.4 is the output 3 and 4 of our Focusrite Scarlett interface, and from there on we go into our wireless system and to our ears.
Yeah.
So at the moment we only hear the Zoom participants, and through this setup of the sends also the music. We don't hear the microphones in our ears because Ali said he doesn't want to be disturbed with his own voice in his ears while teaching.
Yeah, you don't need to hear yourself, you don't need to hear your own clapping. All of that sound is better just to be for the participants, because you hear yourself speak anyway, and having it also in your ears is not comfortable.
One thing to notice is when you do a setup like this and you put out sound to your USB sound card, many of these professional USB sound cards have an interface where you can set up things again. On this interface, there is also some possibilities to route audio from several inputs to several outputs. We can show you that how this looks like in our case, in the Scarlett. There is this Focusrite control panel which comes when you install the driver, then you have this one. And here you have your 4 outputs. These are the outputs 1, 2, and these are the outputs 3, 4. So this is our 4 outputs we do have. On this button we can choose what exactly is going out through these outputs 1, 2 and 3, 4. So if we click here we can choose from playback DAW, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation, which would be the output of our program here of Ableton Live. We can also say, no, I want to pass the hardware input of the device. So to say the microphone input, I want to pass that directly through to the output 1, 2. So whatever I plugged in into input 1, the microphone should be passed directly into the output. And we can do a custom mix where we even can mix these ins and outs. In our case, we just want a one-to-one routing. So we want that the playback of our DHW of Ableton Live, playback 1 and 2 is going through output 1 and 2, and the playback of 3 and 4 is going to output 3 and 4. One thing to notice, maybe there are 2 symbols in here. One is the headphone and one is these jacks. So on this device, the output 3 and 4 comes out of the line output jack 3 and 4 here, where we connect our in-ear monitoring system, and it also comes out through our headphone jack here.
Which is why my MacGyver setup is so brilliant.
That was pretty much all of the routing. To finish up things, we open OBS fastly and show people the rest of the chain. So we routed everything inside here. We routed the participant's voice. Back here, we made all this driver hacking stuff with Loopback and whatever we had to do for making it work. Now we have our stereo signal going through that created driver here called Ableton to OBS, channels 1 and 2 of Ableton going directly into the output of this virtual driver called Ableton to OBS. So here we have our OBS program. We don't see a camera image at the moment because we are using it for recording this nice little video. Exactly. So we just focus on the audio settings at the moment. So we go to settings, which opens this window, and then we go to audio. And here we can choose our devices. Here it would be nice to have multi-channel audio support, so that we can not only choose a driver here, but also can choose whatever input is connected to the drivers. For example, if it's 4 inputs or 5 or 6 or whatever amount of inputs, we can have control, separate control about these inputs. This is not possible, so we can only choose a driver here. So we use Ableton to OBS here.
One thing to note is that every time you make any changes to your sound card or Loopback, you actually need to close Ableton and restart it. And possibly even after restarting it, you both need to, of course, open up your file again, which, by the way, will be available for download. So the file we have created here with our setup, you can install it on your laptop, especially if you're on a Mac, and you'll get exactly the same setup. You'll need to adjust the tempo on your own. We're going to make a separate video on that. But you will also need to go back to the preferences sometimes, depending on how you set up. You need to go back here and choose audio input device and go back to choose, okay, I wanted to have the Ableton inputs for 6, and for output we were on our Scarlett, so we choose that one. We're just going to double check, yes, there are 6 input, and for output that is correct. Everything is fine. Now it's working. So you might have to do this process every time you change anything in Loopback or you unplug your sound card and put it back in again.
Yes, the system just reinitializes the driver then, and if you change something on the driver basis, then you have to restart the program. So that's just the way it's working. Okay, so if we go to our Ableton then and just play back some music, let's try that one here. We cannot listen because we didn't define an output device at the moment for you to listen to it, but we see a nice little input on OBS here. So the link from Ableton to OBS is actually working. Okay, so last thing we have to do is to choose in Zoom the inputs of OBS, and maybe Ali can explain this to you.
This all again depends on which operating system you are on, as well as if you're on the new M1 chip Apple computers, or if you're on the Intel processor-based Apple computers. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're probably on the Intel-based Apple computer. Right now I'm showing you on the M1 one. To make the connection between OBS and Zoom, you need to provide OBS output function. So you need to download a plugin for OBS. I'm not going to show you that detail today. I can make a separate video for that. In my case, I'm using a software called NDI. There is this NDI video monitor. So here I have to choose to detect. NDI is now connected to my speakers, so you hear it there. I'm gonna make a more detailed description. So up here, a new thing plugged up came up. So now I can go to Zoom, start a new meeting, join with computer sound. So here in audio, I am not choosing Scarlett, but I am using my speaker. Yes, I can use the Scarlett. For the microphone, I am using NDI audio. For the video, and now you see it here, it's coming the same thing. For the video, I'm using NDI video. And now you see that this logo that we had in the beginning, this logo is on OBS. Now that's NDI. It's on OBS. This is OBS. So I put the logo here. I can make it bigger if I want to. And now you see that logo in Zoom. So yeah, so you see here that OBS is now through NDI routed into Zoom meeting, and this is what the participants see. Imagine the video here.
One thing to notice here, Ali said you can choose this driver for audio output. It does not really matter what you choose here, because the output of Zoom is routed directly through our nice thing here on Ableton input. It is taken the input directly and routed to our virtual driver, which is going back here into Ableton Live again, and from there into our headphones. So it actually does not matter what you choose here, because you won't use that anyway.
Right. Okay. I didn't know that.
I mean, you have to know that, for example, if you use the SpanQ stuff, which is the big monitor, which also have speakers, then sound from Zoom is coming out of these speakers. So maybe you have to mute them because you don't want to hear the sound doubled.
Exactly.
But no matter what you choose here, sound is always coming back into Ableton through this channel and then to your speakers. So everything should be fine.
So this was the whole routing process that we used for our setup. We hope you took some lessons learned from this video.
Also, we hope that it's not so much headache in your heads than we had in our heads.
Yeah, it was very complicated to get this point. That we hope we could distill that complexity into something understandable. And the Ableton setup, the way we made it, will be available for you to download under swingstep.tv/groups/free. There will be a banner or a link for you to download it, so that you can just use the setup. Through this explanation of the routing, you now know how it works in case you need to do some manipulations and changes for yourself. And one more time, Paul, thank you so much for this work and being here and explaining all of this and sharing your amazing knowledge on this topic.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good time.
Have a good time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.